Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to be painting garlic today. These were the green onions I did yesterday morning, and these were the red onions I did Monday afternoon. So I'm kind of leaning into this veggie theme here. Most of the products I'm going to be using today are Meeden or Meeden affiliates. Move this over here a little bit. And so you'll be seeing me use Meeden brushes, Meeden paints, my brush cleaner, which is over here, and other additional things. I've got this really cool little brush holder. And then other things I'll include as I go along. But the paper for today is going to be a mix, well, mostly Bauhung, but they are basically the same thing as Meeden paper. They have the same factory quality. I believe they're made in the same factory is basically what that means. But let's go ahead and get started. All right. So I'm using the green pad today. It's 100% cotton, and it is a 7 by 5 inch pad. And it's one of those pads that is glued down. And the reason for that is for the purpose of making sure that the paper itself does not buckle while you're painting. I think I'm going to start with, let me just look at my images here. So basically, some of this stuff I don't do off the top of my head, and sometimes I do, but I haven't painted a garlic in quite some time. So basically what I do is I just go and I Google search some visual inspiration. I really like that one right there. And while I probably won't make something exactly like that, I'll definitely lean into some of those shapes a little bit. And this one does have a little purple in there, so maybe we'll do a little bit of that too. All right, so I think the brushes I'm going to use today are going to be my Transcend brushes. Even though I have all this Meeden stuff, they have some really great round brushes, and they're pretty affordable too. So let me just pop this up in my pin so you guys can see them. I'd never actually heard of Transcend until my friend TJ mentioned that he really liked his Transcend. And CJ, I'm sorry, CJ makes his own paints out of various minerals. So that's pretty cool. I might have to move this brush holder because it's blocking my light a little bit. And I do not want that for you guys. Good morning, Holly. I'm so happy to see you. Thanks for the heartbeat. Love it, love it. All right, let's do this. All right, so garlic, and they're pretty creamy in color tones. So let's just use this yellow as our base. I'm going to add a bunch of white from my palette over here. Don't let anyone tell you you don't need white on your palette. You don't need white, but I do like it. And I usually use it as a mixer. So this here is pretty yellowy. I want to add a little bit more brown or peach to that. So I'm just going to pick up some of this tone right here. And then that just kind of warms it up a little bit. And if it goes down too heavy, I can always kind of lift it up. So we're going to start our garlic with the big bulb. So I like to think of these as mini white pumpkins. Ooh, that is way too orange. So we're just going to add water. And then we'll lift that up. I'm not worried. I'm going to add another little bulby part over here and another one down here. And then I'm going to lift up all that orange paint because it's way too pigmented and clean that up a little bit, make it a little bit more white. Raise your hand if you are an artist and you're hanging out with me today. I want to see all those hands up. Or both, raise your hand if you want to be an artist. Because I feel like you wouldn't be here if you didn't have some sort of love or desire for things that are arts. Yes, I love that hand. Thank you, Euphoria, and Holly. Yes. Keep raising those hands. There we are. Love it, love it. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Styles. Yes, love it, Paper, Pens, and Coffee. I think you just followed me. You have the hardest time working with watercolor, but you've always wanted to learn how. I love it so much. I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. Watercolor Mercantile is my business. Katie, I will definitely check that out. Nikki wants to be an artist. Yes. Awesome. Yay, Euphoria. All right, so here's how you be a watercolor artist. Ready? This is like the most basic information. Get yourself a brush that feels comfortable in your hands. Almost all artists start with a round brush. And get yourself a pad of paper. I think this Bao Hong pad is probably one of my favorites, but another company that's not on TikTok is called Bee Paper. And quite honestly, it is very nice. It's a great practice paper. And then last thing you need is a good set of paints. I love these paints, and I love them because you don't have to mix. I know a lot of artists push like color theory and mixing skills, and that's all important. Please don't get me wrong. But if you just want to get the paint on the paper, get a good pad, get some good paints, and get a brush that you love. You work with resin and acrylic, but love watercolor. I've worked with acrylic before. I just got my daughter a resin kit. Well, daughter / all children, because they'll probably all want to play with it. I just got them a resin kit, and we're going to play with that maybe this weekend, or that's the goal. But I've never actually done resin before. And then she proceeded to tell me, she's like, Mom, I have done resin before. I'm like, you have? She's like, yeah, remember I did it for this thing, and I made some jewelry off of it. I'm like, oh, oops. Yeah, no, my memory is certainly not what it was. But anywho, I lost my photo that I was using as a resource. All right, I'm just going to go in here and create the little knob on top, or the tall knob, because we're doing garlic today. I'm just going to give it a little bit of this and pull it down. Now, if you're not comfortable with watercolor, or if you've never been comfortable with it before, a lot of the comfort comes from practice. It comes from playing with the paints and figuring out how much water you need versus how much paint you need. There are, of course, lots of, rules and guidelines that you can follow, but nothing works better than really just going to the paper and seeing what works. Oh, thank you. Practice, though. Lots of practice. And then just to kind of quickly introduce myself, my name's Christine. I've been working with watercolors for about 5 years now, entirely self-taught with online tutorials and all the places you might find that stuff. And I think that with anything, if you're passionate enough about it and you love it enough, you can absolutely, certainly join this watercolor community. We are so much fun, and most of us are learners. We learn from each other, and we learn from you guys what people love and want to do and want to paint. You use epoxy mainly instead of UV. Your name's Christina. With a K? Christina! We must be like besties already, because my name is Christine with a K. So, love it. Holly, I actually just got a Let's Resin. Maybe it's not Let's Resin, but I definitely got a UV set. So I have not cracked that box open yet. All right. I'm going to make another one because I'm trying to go in a little light here. This is still a little bit warmer in tone than I planned, but that's okay. That's what watercolor is all about. It's about figuring things out and realizing when you made a mistake, there are ways to fix it. Let's do a bulb, or a little, like, I want to say bulb, not bulb, clove. Some watercolorists really focus on using the pigment to make light values by using lots of water. I do that sometimes. Like, sometimes you'll see these open spaces from me, and sometimes I'll just go in and use mixed media to create that light and bring it back. What paint palette am I using? The paint palette I am using today, I use lots of paint palettes. I have lots of art supplies. Probably too many. In fact, I definitely have too many art supplies, but that's okay because I love all of them like they're my own children. So this is the paint set that I'm using. For number one, it's my Meeden Art Watercolor paint set. It comes with 48 colors. I do believe they sell smaller sets and larger sets. I think the larger set is 96. I don't need 96. That's a lot of shimmers, and I don't really paint with shimmers that much. So I agree with you, Christina. No such thing as too many art supplies. Unless, of course, you pick up another art hobby like me and you also crochet. Which then you start to run out of room in your house. And my husband's nodding at me from across the room. Like, he doesn't really say anything. He's very kind, but I definitely have way too much. But, the stuff I'm making, I'm selling at a local vendor. So it's not entirely a loss, How do you make time and motivation for art? I find myself wanting to do it, but always procrastinating. I think procrastinating is easy to do in any scenario that you're you're going to start something new or start something a bit intimidating. I do think watercolor has a hook that no other medium has. And I'm going to just really quickly show you that hook right now. So I'm going to grab a little bit of gray. I'm going to throw it in here. Oh, that did not really do the thing I wanted. But if I put just the littlest bit of that gray tone, I'm going to zoom this in so you can see. I need something bigger than gray. Let's go with blue. I know you're like, why would you put blue in there? But no, it's a thing. Watching the watercolor and the pigment spread together is the hook in my mind. Like, it's the satisfying part of the watercolor. It's the part that like, ooh, look at that go. I think the hard part for me sometimes is that people don't often realize, because they see the fancy part of watercolor, the idea of how there's a lot of ugly in watercolor. Not in a bad way, but in a way that you're like, oh, I ruined it. I ruined it. And there's no going back. I can't fix it. Well, no, you absolutely can fix it. Most of the time. I will admit I have thrown out paintings before, and that was for my own personal mental health. So I don't really feel that bad about that. But I would argue that most watercolor paintings can be fixed, and I'll show you how to do that today. So I know lots of people are like, never throw out a painting. No, absolutely throw out a painting. If it makes you feel better, just don't do it every time you create something, because then you're going to start beating yourself up every time. Me too, Janster. Me too. Now I'm really digging the colors in this. Now remember when I put that orange down to begin with, I was super like, oh no, I put down too much color. And look at how this is already kind of building up and getting those 3D effects that I wanted. It's doing exactly what I did not plan, but I'm really starting to like. Sometimes you absolutely need to pivot. And I pivot a lot. And you're going to see me use mixed media in here as well, because I think mixed media is a way to really bring love back to a piece that dried in watercolor that you hate, that you're like, I ruined it, no way to fix it. I disagree. I think there's always a way to fix it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually looking up my photos. I want to do like, you know, like, sorry, my coffee's kind of in the way here. I want to do one of these, like those ones where you cut open the garlic and you can see all of the cloves on the inside. I want to do something like that in this illustration that I'm doing. Let's see if I can find it. Like that one's pretty good. That's like a roasted one, which is cool. That one's pretty good too. I don't really want a roasted one. I just want one that's got like the side view. Let's see here. Maybe I just got to work with what I got. We'll just work with it. All right. So I'm going to keep with these tones though. And sometimes that's hard to do too. So I'm just going to grab this palette again and throw down just kind of a wonky shaped little garlic that looks like it's been sliced in half. And please note, I'm not filling in all of the parts. Oh, do you add watercolor pencils? Heidi, my friend, how are you? I don't use watercolor pencils that much, but I do a lot of watercolor media, just not pencils. I think the watercolor pencils for me is they're not pigmented enough for me. I'm going to add a little bit of green where I think I'm going to put, let's see how much this bleeds. This is the hook right here, guys. Just putting a little bit of green. And we're going to believe that those are the cloves. Okay, so maybe this has got a bit of clove in here. Some of the mixed media that I'm going to use today, and if you followed me and you've hung out with me on my live before, my live crashers, I like to use these crayons. These are watercolor. They're like, what do you call them? Gel crayons. Or silky crayons. These are marketed for kids, but I use them all the time, not only because they're actually really great art tools, but because they have the cutest little lids. Look at. They have little teddy bear faces on the lids. And then they're twistable, so you can pop them up and down, all that good stuff. So we'll probably be using that today. And then I'll probably be using my crayons. I like these better than pencils because they leave a real fun texture. And then I'll definitely go over last bits in pencil as well, like a black, heavily pigmented watercolor pencil. So that's kind of how I'm going to finish this. Oh, you did, Janster? Are you using them yet? I have ones my mom gave me from France. I have no clue what brand they are, but they're great. You have what? Watercolor pencils? Oh, see, now I'm curious. I'm really curious. Do you love them? You bought the bear crayons for your granddaughter, but kept them. I would never tell her. My kids know I've taken these little crayons from them. They aren't allowed to have them back. They know. I mean, they kind of take them back anyways whenever they want. Because let's be honest, if they're like, "Can I play with your watercolor supplies today?" I'm not going to tell them no. Or I'm going to tell them, "Yeah, but you have to use these ones. You have to use the not so good ones." Because I don't want, especially with brushes and stuff, I'm like, I'm not wrecking my stuffs. So and because I have so many watercolor supplies, honestly, it's not a problem. I have so many things that I don't even really use anymore. Just got gifted a set of Woodies and love them. Ooh, I have Woodies. These ones. These are old though. I haven't used them in some time. But these are good too. These are fun. But look at how like pasty this one looks. Maybe I'll give it some love today and we'll see how it works. Love it so much. Okay, I need to get some of that blue in here because I put it in the other ones here and here. I need to get some of that orange back too. What did I use? Did I use brown? I think I did use brown. So let's just add a little bit of brown to this blue. Now what some of you may and some of you may not know is that orange and blue are opposites on the color wheel. And so generally when they mix, they make a brown or a black color, depending on the warm or cool tones that you're using. So oftentimes if you're seeing people paint real loose portrait style, you might see tones of blues and oranges together. It's because they're a really common color for that. Are you woody pastels or chalk-like? These woodies are more like crayons. They're not chalky. They're not real soft. I mean, they're soft-ish, but they're not super chalky. Like I'll show you in a minute how they work, but if I put them over my finger, like let's say I'm going to draw on my finger, they're not super, they don't like come right off. You can see them a little bit, but it doesn't have a sound. I can tell you that much. I know some people are super intimidated by the sounds that their art supplies make. I don't think they're creamy. I don't think they're super dry. Like I would argue these are my driest, these water-soluble crayons. These ones are probably mid. They're pretty dry. They don't like fall off the bone basically. And then I would say these are my creamiest. These are the creamiest of all the things. You can paper, pen, and coffee. I do that sometimes, but I don't do it a lot because I like the dry media over this when it's done. All right, let's see. I'm going to dry this just a little bit with my heat gun so that I can move along here. I want to start creating another layer of watercolor over this. Generally what I do is I go in, yes, these are creamy. These ones right here. I'll show you, if you stick around, Kay, I can show them to you in action. And if you can't stick around, I will be reposting this live on my YouTube page, same handle. And you can go in there and rewatch and paint along with it if you'd like. The only thing you have to do is promise to share with me what you paint. Because I'm greedy like that. Okay, I think that's pretty dry. Okay. So let's go ahead and go over my next layer. I'm gonna make this brush a little bit smaller though. And I do that because my first layer is usually my big brush stroke layer. My second layer is usually my smaller, like my medium-sized brush stroke layer. So being that we've got these garlics, I should do another one of those probably. Anywho, we'll just go with what we got right now. I do want to go in here and kind of do some negative painting in the spaces around. Hi, Mary Margaret. I very barely saw your live today. I could not jump on. I was running around. I was at the pharmacy and the grocery store and all of those things. But I did see you were on. I'm sorry I missed it. All right, so I'm going to come on here. And I'm just going to go in maybe with these blues and grays. Now, I don't have much palette space here because I used up all four. So what I can do is I can make space. So I'm just going to use this magic eraser, or you can use a paper towel. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to do it over here on this side, though, because I haven't used this side of the palette in a while, and there's not that much paint left on here. So all you got to do is add water and then just kind of scoop up some of that paint. It's never going to be perfectly clean. Like you will have some mixes mixed with that. It doesn't really matter. I mean, some people are very precious about that. I am not a precious artist. I'm pretty loose. I let mistakes happen. I let colors mix. I paint with dirty water. I do all of the things. All right, so what did I say I was going to do? I was going to do gray and blue, didn't I? Okay. So I'm just going to grab some of this really pretty sky blue from the palette, some of this gray, and just kind of mix it together. And then I'm going to play with those tones in my garlic because I already laid some of those tones down. And then I'll probably put some more of that orange tone over the top as well. All right, so right now I know in my live I have some resin artists. I have some watercolor artists. I have some, let's see, what else do I have? I have resin, watercolor. What am I missing? I know there's more. Acrylic, I think. Someone said acrylic. What other kind of arts do you guys do? What other arts are you into? Resin and scribble art. Ooh, is it Kai? Kai, you're in the right place. I do, my doodling is kind of like scribble art. Not super scribbly, but more like coloring art, I would argue. Oil, Lauren, your oil. Let's see. Mackie Doodle. Yeah, my references are quite something. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm going in and adding some thicker layers over the top, but they're line work layers. They're like the base of the line work layers. Zentangle, pen art, and pencil, cool. Watercolor as well, paint pens, cool. What kind of paint pens do you use? Are you using like the acrylic, like Posca or Shuttle Art or any of like the TikTok shop ones? I have a Shuttle Art one. I don't use it enough. I probably should use it more. Let's go in and make a few more layers here, just a little bit. The goal here is not to paint over the whole thing that you just painted. The goal here is to add very loose brush strokes over the top to imply some shadows or color changes in your bit. Ooh, alcohol ink. So I just got a set of alcohol markers the other day, Holly, and I worked with them a little bit and I'm not there yet. I haven't figured that out. I need to practice them more, but with what time, I don't know. Let's go in with some more of that warm brown color. Actually, I'm going to make it darker this time though. So a bit cooler in tone, which means the cooler a tone is, the closer it is to blues and purples. The warmer a tone is, the closer its colors are to reds and yellows. Does that make sense? At least that's how I imagine it. Let me give this guy a little bit of hair down here. And then maybe some little squiggly hairs because I love a squiggle. I'm going to add just a little bit of a line mark here. Coming in that way. This is still wet up here, so anything I add to this spot is just going to bleed. And I don't mind that, but I also want to be mindful of it, that it's not going to be a detail line. Also going to add a bit of darkness here and here and also down here. And then what you can do is, if this is too brush strokey for you, if you're like, that looks too sharp of a line, just go over that again with water along one edge, and then it softens it right up. Like here, just make sure it's not a lot of water or it could get pretty out of control. Like it could start puddling. You don't want to have that happen either. Or maybe you do. You won't know until you try. I'm gonna add some of that color again up here in the stem. And then definitely, I'm gonna add a bit more gray, I think, down here underneath that. Hi, OC, how are you? Alcohol ink is like the middle child of art, very unpredictable. I feel like when I use the alcohol markers, I struggled with the layers because they were so sharp. Like I couldn't blend it out with water, and that was intimidating to me, if that makes sense. And I don't even know if intimidating is the right word. It was frustrating, I guess I should say. Like, I guess I felt like my flaws became more apparent in my art because I just couldn't get the effects that I would get when I paint. Does that make sense? There's a clear number 0 marker for blending. There is? Oh, I was a tornado as a middle child OC. The paper I'm using for this is Bao paper, 100% cotton. This is a 5x7 sheet. That makes sense if there's a 0 blender. I just don't feel like there's an instruction manual for those things, and they look easier than they are. I'm just blending out this brown a little bit more. And I often paint in curves. I also want to gray that up a little bit down here. All right, let's go to this guy right here, because this guy is my intimidating. I keep avoiding him because I know I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with him. I think I'm going to lean into the browns to start. Real light though, if I can. So I'm adding white and like a sepia brown together. And then I'll probably add a little bit of gray to that too. So right now it looks like this. Add a little bit of gray to a sepia brown. Kind of that color. Use a brush and alcohol to blend. Oh, that's true. I could try that. You use alcohol on brushes and pens only for details. Do you guys use it on only marker paper? Like I got some marker paper, but I've used it a couple of times and still wasn't super duper confident about what I was doing with it, but I thought about using it as mixed media and then I was like, yeah, let's not push it. All right, I'm gonna bring in a few general cloves, maybe a couple of skinny ones here. Maybe a big one here and then a big one there. And then I'm going to pull these out. I'm not going to outline all of them. We're going to create intention. Intention is when you're creating something under the influence of an actual object, knowing it's not going to turn out exactly the way the object might look. This is my way of allowing myself to create something that could be really hard. Does watercolor paper work? I worry about that because I use heavy watercolor paper. Well, not heavy. I use watercolor paper with texture. So do you see this paper? You see how like it's got all of this little, we call it tooth in watercolor world. I don't know that those alcohol markers would be great on here, but you know what? You don't know until you try. So at some point I just need to do it and make it happen. You love coloring, can't paint much, so pretty. Coastal Diary, I would argue at some point if you color a lot, I think at some point you might see yourself, even if it's not painting, you might be surprised with the sketching you could do, or maybe you're already doing that, I don't know. But I think that there's potential there to do more if you do it a lot. It's like, have you guys ever done those color by numbers? And then after a while, you're like, oh, I see what's happening here. I see the shadows. I see the shading. So what I'm doing right now is where I made those lines, I'm thickening up the areas where they curve a little bit or connect with the center. I'm not thickening up everything. And if you color, you know that this is like part of shading, right? Like you darken up certain areas and you don't darken others. This is, it was taught to me as being called visual tension, where certain parts of your object stand out because of where they connect and how they interact with the objects around them. Thank you so much. I think part of it too is the drying. I think the drying of this, Brother Tumnus, I think the drying sometimes, like when you put the paints down at first, it comes out and you're like, oh God, what did I do? But I do think that these dry pretty well. I think this is almost also looking like a, maybe not a shallot, but it's, you know, the intention here is to get the garlic vibe, but I'm going to add a bit of white, like a creamy white inside here in a couple of these spots. I'm not going to put it everywhere, just a few, like that. Okay, I'm going to add it in here too. So I'm just going into my white paint and adding a bit of that brush stroke over the top to create a bit more highlight. Are you seeing what I just put on there? I'm not watering it down though. Do you see that? It's just a hint of lightness, which is really valuable in my mind. I also think I'm going to darken this up down here a little bit. And thanks for hanging out today, everybody. If you have any questions about any of the art supplies on the list, please ask. I put a lot down there because I don't always know when I sit down where I'm going to go with a painting. Sometimes I think I know where I'm going, and then other times in the moment, you just got to be spontaneous. And that was me just adding a bit more depth to the bottom of this garlic. It's a little browner than I think a garlic would necessarily be, but that's okay. And I need to stop overworking this. Tell me to stop. No more. No more watercolor on this, guys. Don't let me do it. Okay. Isn't it garlic? Yes, it is garlic. It's supposed to be garlic. But they're all part of the same family, right? Oh, Janster, you mean the world to me. I love having you here. I'm going to darken this up too, just a little bit, because it's still wet down here, so it's just going to bleed. And the white I added is just... Didn't I tell you guys to not let me touch? No more touchy. No more touchy. I know. You're so right, Kay. I know. Okay. Let's come down here. We're going to go with this guy. Back to him. So I should warn you, I will come over this with some mixed media as well. I will do it because it's my favorite thing. Darkness here. And I'm going to make these parts down here a little bit darker. It did make it through. It is a bit more roasted. I agree with you. White is hard. White is a hard color in watercolor medium to represent to the scale that sometimes you want it to, because white is really just very watery mix of a color in watercolor media. It's just a very watery mix of a color. Okay. And then I think I'm going to mix media over this segmented piece after it's dry. I don't want to add any more color in there right now, so I'm just going to dry it with my gun. And then I'm going to unpin this paint because I think I'm done painting. And I'm going to add some mixed media tools. Let's start with the creamy ones because I don't remember who asked me, but someone said, how creamy are the Behr crayons? And I will show you that in just a minute. You know, Biomorphic, I've heard the same thing, but being entirely honest, I started with watercolor and prefer it over all the mediums. I feel like it's more forgiving than people realize. I think it's different. I think there is a measure of control that you have to give up. And there's a measure of working, being a bit more flexible in how you are playing, because sometimes that flexibility is necessary for the water and pigment to kind of like freak out together. That is a heat gun. Yes. So this is my Chandler Tool heat gun. I do believe it's in here. Let's see. Pretty sure I put it on this list here. So the difference between a heat gun and a blow dryer, let me just quickly go over that. A heat gun has a very small source of heat. And with this like plasticky heat resistant tube around it, it focuses the heat and the air on one section of the page. It doesn't blow dry over everything. Now, could you use a hair dryer? Sure. Are there people who do that? Sure. The only problem with the hair dryer is it doesn't heat as quickly because the hair dryer is going like this. Like it's sending out heat and air in a like more of a whew way. Whereas with this one, it's doing it in a very isolated way. So that's really the difference in my mind between the heat gun and a blow dryer. That being said, you don't need to have a heat gun or a blow dryer to do paintings. I think one of the more, a friend of mine doesn't have one, and she's a very successful artist. And what she does is she works in tandem. So she'll have two paintings going on at the same time, and she'll just go back and forth between the two paintings. As one dries, she works on the other. And then when she's done with that one, she goes back to the one that she dries. But I like it, especially because I'm an online creator. I like having it to, when in the moment I'm just trying to do one painting, I can go back in and really push the painting forward rather than walking away with it not being finished because it's too wet. So, but that's a personal choice. I also, oh, thank you. I would also say that those heat guns, when I bought my heat gun, I didn't use it as much as I do now. And that's because I wasn't arting in a place of my house that made it accessible. Like I was constantly having to bring it out and put it away, and bring it out and put it away. And now that I have my own designated art space in the house, it's just always next to me and I can just quickly pull it out and use it. So I have to do tandem. I have no patience. Yes, same. I cannot wait. When I sit down to paint, I don't want to walk away from a painting that's not done. I like to sit down and feel like a painting is done when I leave. Okay, so let me show you some mixed media stuff. Let's do this first. On the back of this page, I want to show you the difference between the three tools we were talking about earlier. So we've got these woodies. I don't think those are in my shop, though. I think I looked at them the other day and thought of putting them in my shop, but the shipping price on them was so extraordinary, I didn't even bother. I'm going to start with these. I will pick colors that are basically the same. This is my eye crayons. They are very similar to, do I have a crayon on here? This company. I'm not going to name the company, but this company is a great company and is a very well-known company for making watercolor crayons. These are called Neo 2s. They activate with watercolor, but they're very expensive. They're about $3 a crayon, give or take, depending on where you're shopping for them. Sometimes you can get deals from local art companies where they're like $2 a crayon. This set of crayons is maybe $20, $25. I'm going to unpin this for you. There's 25 in this set, and they're just as pigmented as the other ones. I think the one that's posted or pinned right now has $12.99 price. I think that's for the smaller of the sets, but this is entirely worth it if you're into what are called Neo 2 watercolor crayons. Let me pick a color that I think I will also have. Yep, we'll do this blue. Okay, so this blue is like a sky blue. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what it looks like over watercolor paper. I'm also going to show you what it looks like with water on top. So I usually leave it like this over top of painting. But if I add water to this, let me grab another brush here. If I grab water and put it over the top, it softens it up a little bit, okay? It doesn't take all the grain away, like the grainy look is not entirely gone, but it does kind of create this fun effect that you can kind of play with tones and all that stuff. You could also potentially use it to paint very lightly with your brush. So if you add a wet brush to the top, it's also a really nice little portable option for watercolor crayons. If you travel a lot, if you're going on vacation and want to paint or create, this is a really great fun tool. I use this. This is the one that I'm always going to use, partially because I've already painted and I like the texture that it creates over the watercolor paper. So this one, that was the eye crayon. Crayons. Okay. So the next one is the woody. So these are Stabilo. Now, if you know me at all, you know I love my Stabilo pencil. Okay. Much more pigmented, but it is a much more well-known brand. I'm going to do 2 blocks. We'll put water on one and leave the other one bare. And it's not exactly the same color, but it's close enough. If I go in with my brush, you can see the pigment moves around a bit more. Okay, it's a bit stronger pigmented, but the textures are the same. Okay, so they're not very soft. Hi, Devin. So this is eye crayon. These are Stabilos, and the Stabilos are more expensive, naturally, because they've been around a long time. Oh, wait, let me show you how I would use this if I wanted to do this. The colors are also, there's not as many colors. They don't sell like, well, maybe they do. I take that back. I think they do actually sell more colors, but I don't usually, I had no need to buy these, so I just don't use them that much. That's actually pretty impressive. These have been sitting around for a while. I have not been touching them. Way more pigment. This is also a different color, though. that being said, definitely a stronger pigment. All right, and then let's go in with the Silky Crayons. Now the Silky Crayons are going to feel much different. Let me label this first. So this is the Woody. And this is Stabilo. Okay. And then this one here is the eye crayon, or the Jupiter Bear Crayon. I don't know if I'm spelling this right. Okay. I'm going to do this twice. Actually, I'm going to do this more than twice. I'll show you why in a second. Just to give you the effect here. Okay. So, looks about the same. This one looks a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Soft. But what I can do with this is with my finger, I can blend. Okay. I can't do that with this one. Well, I can do it a little bit with this one, but it's not going to look like if I go like this, it's on my finger, but it's not blending that much on the page. And if I do it with this one, it's a little bit on my finger, but it really doesn't do much on the page. This is the one that's the blendy one. This is the Bear Crayon one. And then if I add water to it, the granular texture underneath disappears more. Okay, so I'm going to pin this one. I don't know a person who dislikes the Bear Crayons. And they're affordable, and they're fun, and they're non-toxic. There's no oils in them. So they're entirely safe for your kids. Like I said, they're marketed for kids. And then if I wanted to also, I could add water to the top. Let's see what happens here. It basically does the same thing. I think the Jupiter, of all of the pigments, has got the most potential. I think you can do the most with these crayons out of all of them. I like how they feel. The packaging is adorable. And I actually just reached out to them a couple of days ago because the only thing I don't like about this set in particular, it's not anything wrong with the product per se, is that the 24 set does not come with more yellows. And I need more yellows with the amount of botanical work I do. And these are the only 2 yellows it comes with. And I would like a more lemony yellow. So I just ordered another set yesterday. And I've ordered the bigger set. So this is the 24. I ordered the 36. And hopefully I'll be getting that soon. And we'll play with that soon. But I wanted some more yellows. But I do think this Jupiter Bear Crayon situation is the way to go for more like diversity in all the things. So eye crayon, just keep in mind this is obviously not the same tone. You can see that these two are pretty much the same. The eye crayon color that I picked was not exactly the same, but still it looks even a little bit more faded than these two. And the Woody Stabilo is the most expensive of all 3. And this one you can blend with your fingers. So now I want to go back and look at all of the I think most of these companies don't have the most reasonable shipping ever. A lot of them are just not, especially if you're living in the United States with tariffs and everything. The shipping is honestly because of the transport. Like it just costs so much to transport this stuff over this to the States. I don't think I got my Bear Crayons right away, but I mean, I bought them a while ago. I want to say it took a couple of weeks for them to arrive, but it was totally worth it. You can also, you do you shop the way you need to shop best. And if, the shipping rates here aren't for you, I'm sure you can do your research and figure that out elsewhere. You know what I mean? But I'm a big fan. I think these are an incredibly valuable tool and I use them all the time. All right. Now that are we good? Does everybody see kind of how big the difference is between them? I won't go back if I walk away too long. Understood. The bring it out and put it away resonates so hard. That's why it's hard to start. It is. I think that's why, like, my art space is a mess, but at least it's all here. And all I have to do is sit down and pull something out and there we go. Right. I think the more you can find things that have like good pre-packaging. Like I like this paint set because literally all I have to do is close it and stack stuff on top and I'm fine. Having a couple of baggies to keep your brushes in, fine. The more efficient it is to pull out your art supplies, I think the more likely we are to pick it up again. I 100% agree with you. I'm afraid you're going to be a bad influence on me to buy the bigger set. I will totally own Janster. I am a bad influence. I was never a bad influence as a kid, so I feel like I'm in my bad influence era. I don't know, or maybe I'm just 40 and want to, I just don't care because I love this stuff so much. Okay, so I'm going to finish up these guys here, my little garlics. And I'm going to start with, I don't think I'm going to use the woodies. I like them. They're nicely pigmented, but the tops are too thick for this smaller painting. So I'm just going to grab some of my eye crayons. I'm just going to go in and add some color. Oh, I said I was actually going to start with these first. Should I? Yes, I should. Hold on. No, I'm going to start with these first. But here's why. Here I am, I'm like in here thinking and rethinking myself. I like the texture to go down first like this and then build up some softer textures over the top. So that's why I'm going to start with this first. I'm also going to just kind of color a little bit under here, like that, and under here as well. So in some of these areas where we know the cloves are sitting, I'm just shadowing them in with a little bit of color. And then the closer I get to the top, I'm going to change it over to yellow or peach. Let's do peach first. It implies that the lighting is different up there. And I can also color over the other shadowing I already did with that as well. But I just love the texture of that. I think the texture is such a vibe. For me anyways. And this is called mixed media art, by the way. Thank you, Janster. I do think that the best part about mixed media, in my personal opinion, is that it takes those things that you don't feel confident about. Like, so let's say you did your first 2 layers of watercolor and you walk away and you're like, oh, it looks terrible. I don't like it. You're ready to throw it out. I would encourage you before you throw it out, because you're allowed to do that. You're the artist. You get to decide. Before you throw it out, if you're planning on doing that, my suggestion is get some mixed media, whether it's you have kid crayons in the house or broken colored pencils from last year's school year that your kids brought home. Bring those things out and play over the top of old paintings. Maybe you still won't like it, but maybe you'll surprise yourself and might see something valuable that you would go back and want to try again the next time you paint. Or maybe you'll notice something about your painting that you just wish you had done with watercolor first, and you don't realize that until you put the mixed media over the top. Does that make sense? Let me do blue, because I'm definitely going to add some blue to this, because there's already some blue undertones, and I like that. It's just a little bit. I don't want to go too hard on the blue, because then it loses its power if I do too much over the painting. I just want a little bit of a pop. Me too, T. Me too. All right, let's get these Behr crayons out. We're definitely going to use white because it's going to add a bit of highlight in spots. A little brown, a little blue, and not too much blue though, just a little bit so I can soften it up. And yellow too, but this goes back to the almost too mustardy of a yellow, too much gamboge. Too much gamboge yellow. Okay. So this is where I get to kind of play with the finger smushing of the media. Add a little bit more here. Some would argue this is overworking. It sure is, but it makes me happy. So at the cost of overworking, my happiness comes in first, and this is my happy place to add these mixed media tools on. Plus, anytime you have to fix a mistake, let's say you're like, ooh, that was bad. Ooh, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. And if you put a mixed media patch over it to kind of fix the problem, you really need to spread that mixed media love out. It needs to be a little bit of everywhere. Otherwise, it looks like you're trying to hide something. And you don't want it to look like you're trying to hide something. You want people to think that you're doing it on purpose. Yeah, so I did and they're both water. So I did the paints first, like regular watercolor paint. Then I did the water crayons, which I know they're called pastels, but this feels more pastel-y than that does. I did the watercolor crayons, these ones. And now I'm going over it one more time with this. And this is because it's a little bit softer. I still have the texture of the crayons underneath, but I do really like to add this to kind of soften up some bits. I do think that there's this cool, like, almost neon yellow vibe in there. I don't know if I have anything else neon yellow. No, I really don't. Okay, and then here's the last layer. This is my favorite layer of all. This is not in my shop. I cannot find it in the TikTok shop anywhere, but they're easy to find elsewhere. This is a mixed media tool that can go over paper, glass, plastic, and metal. And it is one of my favorite watercolor pencils of all time. Sorry about my dogs, if you can hear them. It is a very heavily pigmented black. They sell it in blue, red, green, yellow, white. But I like it because I go back in and I add more of that visual tension I was mentioning earlier when I was painting. And all I do is I add a little bit of outline to some of these parts. I'm also, let me see, I need to get my visual up here again. Also, want to do a little bit of outline here of the outside of this onion. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to do a little bit. I'm going to do it here too. And then I'm bringing some of those segments back just with a little bit of an outline. I'm doing it in the middle and I'm doing it around the edge like this. Again, we create when we're not very good at creating or without having a lot of experience. To create an impression of something, it does not need to exactly be the something you're trying to create. So it's inspired by, it's not that it absolutely has to be or an exact replica of the thing, unless you are motivated to create that way, or unless you're already creating that way and love creating that way. Like, I'm not taking away that at all from artists who do that. Yes, I love the pencil for the darks. I love it. I just think it brings pop off the piece, especially in the areas where maybe you don't feel like you did a good enough job making the watercolor or the mixed media do that for you. And sometimes you can add those 3D impacts. You can sometimes outline spaces where maybe they didn't exist before. And if you do it here, you should probably do it here and maybe even a little bit here. You see what I did there? So after I put this around the edge on this one, I also added a little bit to this one and to this one. For me, it brings structure back where maybe I lost a little bit of it in the painting. So what will we call this? Like reverse coloring, where you put the paint down first and then create the drawing over the top. It's kind of like that. And then just like that, there we are. Hello, Leave. And we've got our little guy. I do want to add some white. I did pull that out earlier. And I'm just adding it in to create some more of the light effects near the top. And then we have a roasted garlic with a little bit of blue. Did I add any of the blue on this? I don't think I did that either. I got so caught up in everything. Here we go. Just be careful with the black. If you're using a Stabilo black crayon, it can very quickly, because it's so pigmented, go wild on you and can start like creating more of a foggy look, and you don't really want that either. Hello, Leave. I'm so happy to see you. I don't always get to catch you. All right, so we've got our garlic. We've got a little bit of blue on there. It's a bit obvious, but that's okay. I'm gonna add a little bit up here just to share that love out. And then maybe a little bit down here too. Just balancing it out a little bit, friends. Just giving it a little bit of balance. There we go. And then it becomes more of a whimsical garlic rather than a realistic garlic. This almost looks like a pumpkin too. I need to add a little bit more hairs here down in the dark. And this is not for everybody. Like, not everybody is going to love this style, but I feel like this style is great for the person who wants to walk away from their painting feeling like they're done, or for the artist who feels like they can't art because they're going to make too many mistakes and walk away feeling unhappy. I just think you need to give yourself more freedom to make mistakes and feel okay about it. And sometimes the mixed media can help you with that. And there we go. There's our garlic. All right, I'm going to do one more thing. I did start this red onion yesterday. No, a couple of days ago. And I do want to finish it. The only thing is it's a little messy. So we're going to see what we can do with it. We're going to see if it's fixable. It was one of those where I had to run away. I couldn't stay. And so I'm going to come in here and see if I can work this up a little bit. I try to find one thing I like in my paint. I do the same thing, Janster. I absolutely do the same thing. I almost always do 2 or 3 paintings all at once. And then when I'm done and I come back and I'm like, oh, I'm like, I really did that badly. Like, I really overdid it there. And then I'm like, but I do like what I did there. That's really nice. I do think sometimes it's the only way to come back, you know? All right. I'm going to put some of these guys back because if I don't, I'm not going to know where they are. And then I'm going to run all over my desk trying to find things. And it is ridiculously hot in here. So I'm going to turn on is my fan still working? No, wait. Here we go. We're going to turn this bad boy on. Hold on. So my husband just got back from a medical procedure and he's really cold. So I'm trying not to use the air conditioner. But I'm wondering if I already, yeah, I need to recharge this. Let's see if I can do that here. Oh, well, I'll just deal with it for right now. Okay, this is supposed to be, well, I put it down as supposed to be a red onion. So I think I'm going to try and lean into doing something like that with this. I might add some, I feel like there's just a lot of watercolor on here already. This is all like bleeds. So just to be clear, this is like one layer of bleeds and then just letting it dry and walk away. So realistically, what we're going to do right now is we're going to go in and do another layer of watercolor over the top, let it dry, and then add a few more details to it. Okay. Let's see. For those of you who are artists, what do you paint? Like, what are your subjects? What are your preferred subjects? I'm going to go in here and just darken up this outside, I think. And I think this is supposed to be a slice. I don't even know. I don't even know. We'll figure it out. Just playing. Landscapes, mountains. I wish to get better at water though. Water's hard. Hi, Wart. Florals and fruits. Landscapes usually, but I want to get better at objects. Anything. I'm really bad at landscapes, guys. I'm really, really bad at it. It reminds me of pomegranate too, but I think I'm going to keep with the onion bit. I do want to do a pomegranate though at some point. I'm trying to think about like what was my intention here with all of this? I'm not even sure. I'm going to come in here and do some of these like the stripy bits that you would see on an onion. We'll make it work. I'll make it look like an onion when I'm done. And if I can't, it was a good experience and I'll know what to do and what not to do next time. I just think it's important. I think the best part about these lives is that you get to see everything in real time and you get to hear how we think and what we're painting, and that not every experience is a good one. Like, not even the best artists very easily can come out of an art session feeling like bleh. Just gonna go in here with a few more little circly strokes. I'm just gonna keep kind of changing back and forth between these tones. I'm gonna add some of that purple in here too. Okay. I think the intent is there. I think we're getting there. And again, whimsy, right? Like there is a bit of whimsy when we're creating and knowing that it doesn't need to look exactly like the image. And so I feel like that's kind of where I'm going on this right now. Let's see here. I'm going to create, I think, some greens coming off the top of this. Just give me a second. I am not the person when it comes to vegetables who can paint off the top of my brain. I can do it with certain flowers, but I can't do it with vegetables. Okay, so this guy's got like, we're gonna have this kind of come up here as a stem. I think we're gonna make that work right there. Okay, just bringing those colors together. Down here, we might have our little butt, so we'll put like a little bit of a yellow creamy mixture down here, where it kind of like sticks out a little bit like that. This one, maybe I'll put the butt here. Okay. And then I'm going to pull some greens off of the top of this guy. That. Nice long brush strokes. How long did it take you to develop your own style? Wart, I would say I've been painting since, I've been painting since 2020. I don't know if this is the answer people want to hear, but I would say within the last year, I honestly started to lean into my own style a little bit. I do think once I started doing tutorials, I started to realize what I really loved most about painting. Like I've tried a lot of things. I think all artists kind of naturally want to do all the things because of our, I want to say that all artists have ADHD, but our creativity kind of like requires us to want to try all the things. At least it does for me. And then in trying all the things, there were certain things that I liked more than others. And I think as a teacher in my personal life, like outside of being an artist, one of the things that I often do is try and make the things that I teach feel safe to people. And for me, creating this way feels safe. Like I feel like there are things I can find in my paintings that make me feel good and make me feel like I can be an artist too. And I want other people to feel that way. So when I lean into this style of painting, is super loose, let's just create something out of nothing. I think some of it comes from that. I think some of the lean into the mixed media comes from that, if that makes sense. So my style is in some ways generated from my interest to make art accessible to everyone, not just beautiful, you know? Does that make sense? Kind of talking out of my head here. I'm not entirely sure what I'm saying. All right. Yeah, I think it is. I think it can also be very frustrating. I don't think art is easy all the time. I don't think it's a great experience every time. Sometimes you'll sit down and you'll be like, God, that was the worst day I've ever had creating. Like there are days where I've had a really amazing day the day before. I'll sit down, I'll try and paint exactly the same thing I was painting before. And now I can't paint a darn thing without looking at it and being like, what is that? Trash is what it is. And that's okay. I'm going to do some slices, I think, just to fill up this space a little bit. Thank you for turning that on. I wasn't going to turn it on because I thought you were going to be too cold and it would bother you. But, okay. I'm going to come up here. We're going to make some slices, I think. As look, it already has this stripe. I don't even need to put it in there just because of how I hit my brush on the palette. I'll do another slice coming up this way, I think. My composition goals are always to create balance. So when I looked at those two, I'm like, there's something off. Like, why is there this space up here? So by doing this now, there's not this big, weird, empty space. I might even put another one of these slices over here behind the leaf. And again, I am not, like, everything I do here is from personal experience. I don't have any professional art background. I stopped taking art classes in 7th grade. Any artistic stuff I've ever made in my life was based on an experience or things with friends that was just super fun. Whether it was going to a paint and sip or doing some sort of like wellness activity at work where you got to create something. My parents were super crafty growing up, though. So I was always surrounded by artists, but in some ways I feel like that kind of got in the way of me wanting to do this stuff because I didn't think I was ever good enough to do these things, you know? And I guess that's my style. My style is making people understand you absolutely can. And also, it makes me come back because I think every time I sit down, I can still make something look awesome. Thank you so much. Should I do a circle? Let's do one full circle. Maybe here. Yep. And then we'll build up a little purple into that too. And even this right now, like when I first started playing with this, I was like, oh, why am I doing this live? This is going to go so badly. But I really like it right now. I think it looks good. And we'll do one more little circle here. One tucked behind. A little bit more of this warmth. And then maybe, I should stop. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do one more here, I think. I think just no circles, just another little slice, I think. Just real loose and fun. And does it give the impression of a red onion? I hope so, because that's really the goal. Does it look like it could be a red onion? If it does, my job is done here. Oh, that was going to be the bottom, wasn't it? Oops. Oh, well. I'll just do it over here. Oh, my doggos just came home from their walk. They're so happy. And then adding a little yellow in there just because it's a good color with purple. There we are. All right, let me get my heat gun out. I think I'm done painting. I'm just going to go in here and add some mixed media, but I got to dry it first. So let me pin this. These are the paints that I was working with today. So we've got our little onion and our red onion. I'm sorry, we have our garlic and we have our red onion. They look so nice together, right? I love the garlic. I love the blue in the garlic. I think I overdid it, but I still really like it. Again, whimsy. That's what I say to like forgive myself if I feel like I overdid something. But it's just so whimsical. You should. Find a tutorial, Aaliyah. Sometimes a tutorial like gives you the I need to sit down and watch it. I need to sit down and watch it and do it. Even the kid tutorials, like the how cute is this tutorial? Like actually, let me show you. I just got this book the other day because I don't draw that much. I paint more than I draw. But I got this How to Draw Adorable the other day. What is this? Oh, it's tape. How to Draw Adorable the other day, and my daughter's in love with it. She's been playing with it multiple times. But I actually did this the other day too, where I just worked on faces because it's just got the cutest little faces in it. And it just can, like, this page alone inspires me to want to draw babies. Like, look at the giraffe with the binky. Oh, it's so cute. I just love it. But I used this the other day to paint fruits and then give them faces. So, like, let me see. This page right here, it's in the back. And this one inspired me to create, yes, this one. I used this the other day. And I did all of my veggies, which I've been doing, and I just gave them little faces. And it was so fun. Like sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone and forcing yourself to do something you wouldn't want to do will feel really good in the end. Okay, let's do it one more time. I'm going to this time start with the soft crayons. These are the Silkies or gel crayons, as you will. They are all water soluble, non-toxic. I'm going to go in with the greens first, I think. Going to add a little bit here, and I'm going fast now. I'm going fast. A little bit here. Gives that nice pop of color. You can just leave it there if you want, or you can blend it out. I'm going to add a couple more colors first before I blend it out. I'm a very fast artist because I have young kids and I have pets, and in order to get any time for myself, I need to move quickly, so I do. And then I'm just going to blend. No, I'm not going to blend it yet. I'm going to add this golden yellow color here, and then I'm gonna blend. So I'm just gonna go in here like this and just press that around, move it around. It's not super silky, but it's real nice. It's nice enough to create kind of a soft element like that. Thanks for the follow. So I'm gonna go in there and do that. If you have not clicked the heart me at the top yet and you're into supporting other creators and getting yourself out into the TikTok universe with follows and all that good stuff, if you click the heart and send a heart me, you will get participation points from TikTok. You just have to go back into the heart me after you send a heart me. So at the top, if you just click it, you click the heart, you join my fan club, and then you go back and you re-click it, you'll see you can claim all these points, and you can use those points towards pushing out your own content, whether it's art content, it doesn't matter. I just found out about it a couple of weeks ago from my friend Devin, and I'm like, wait, but why would I do that? I mean, outside of just being nice, why would I do that? And she's like, no, really, it feeds your content more readily to the FYP if TikTok thinks you're participating, and that's a way for them to keep track. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of this purple. Oh, the kitten has arrived. She's here now. I wasn't sure if she was going to show up today, but she's here. Here, I'll show you. I got to see. Wait, hold on. I'm going to get rid. Oh, here she comes. Hi. Hi. Oh, you're welcome. Honestly, I don't do it for all artists. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm not going to give that stuff away for free, but I'm going to do it for people I like. Like, in the mornings, I'll go on and I will, there are a couple of people that go on just about every morning that I love. And they're like, you know, basic, nice. Thanks, kitty cat. They're basic in that they come on, and like one of them, Hattie's Bees, she is a woman of color who does beekeeping. And so she'll come on every morning and she'll show us how she beekeeps. And it's just so cool, like watching her with the queen and talking about all her baby bees. It's really fun. And then another one that comes on every morning is one that feeds birds every morning on her back porch. And they're just like all the birds in the world that you would want to see in North America. So like you'll definitely see some cardinals. The cardinals are always kind of hopping for attention over there, literally. And it's just the most fun, like the mourning doves. And all I do is I click on their heart me's, and then I always make sure to put in a comment, and then I go back to the heart. And if you look, you will see that underneath is, oh, claim points. And so just claim your points. And it's just I found that when I did that, my content got more views. So I think it's worth a try. Find the people that you love that are going live. TikTok really wants people to participate with the lives. Like they're really pushing the lives right now. And I'm here for it because I actually really like going live. And if you really want your content to be pushed out, I think you need to participate in lives more, whether you're making them yourself or you're going to the people's lives that you really like or your friends who are living and all of those things. I'm really not paying attention to what I'm doing here because I'm talking to you guys, but I don't think this looks bad. The cat's obviously a distraction right now, but that's fine. Yay, Janster. I actually did see that. Thank you so much, Fugly Cheeses. I'm going to add some more here. And here, and here. I'm so sloppy right now, guys. I'm so sloppy. Oh, the kitty is such a sweetie. She's a good girl. I rescued her from the front of our house, and I was worried about like the litter box situation because she'd been living, in the wilds of the city community since she was born probably. Don't touch my kitty. And I think that I'm going to answer your question in a second, Fugly, but I think I was worried about litter box situation. She immediately jumped in the litter box and was like, yeah, I'm down. I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay, so as far as you painted live and got no views, I would recommend keep doing it. I know you're like, well, if I'm not going to get any views, why should I? I didn't get any views when I started either. But the more you do it, the more people you start to see and find. The more you participate in other people's lives, the more they will push out yours. You will start to create your own little fan club, and people will start coming to your lives on purpose because they like you. You should absolutely do those things, okay? They will absolutely come. I promise you. It just takes time. It's just not going to happen right away. And honestly, if you're creating anyways, what is this? What is this? Did you do that? Oh my gosh, kitten. They'll come. They will come. You will find your people and they will come. I have to fix this. Do you guys see this? Was that there before? Oh dear God. Okay. I'm going to use this. This actually gives me a good opportunity to use this. These are magic erasers. Usually what I do is I just rip off a hunk and then I go and I dab with my wet, clean water sponge. So I'm just getting this wet right now. I'm going to dab this out. Kitty, I don't need your help. See how that's starting to disappear? And then I dab up the dry side and it's not gone, but it's barely compared to where it was. It's gone now. See? Mostly gone compared to what it was. Kitten, I'm blaming you. Dude, I don't need this much help. Oh, thank you so much. I know, she's so cute. She's so cute. She's got to go into the vet on Monday for her her 4th week checkup, I want to say. Because she's a rescue. But she's super cutie. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. All right, I'm going to get her off so I can finish this up without her help. You're darling, but I don't want your help up here right now. I'm going to do a few more bits with, I'll just use this woody since it's just sitting right here. Put a little bit more of this in here and just move it around. And squiggly, swoogly, look at that. Right in there. Love it so much. Okay, let's go back in with my pencil just like I did on this one. I'm going to go back in with my pencil and I'm just going to mark up some of this to just sharpen up some of the edges. No, I don't want your help. Go away. Down there. Okay. So I'm just going to sharpen up with some of these. Like, where is the skin of this onion? Maybe over here. Did I say I won't? No, no help. Go away. Go hang out with your dad. And then up here, adding that visual tension is everything for these real loose paintings that I was like, this could be pretty horrible. And then sometimes you just add this in and voila, it's like magic. It just brings it all back. And this is where there is value in learning how to draw. I know I learned how to paint without drawing because I was too intimidated by the drawing, but drawing is really important, especially as you're like trying to increase your level of success with any sort of painting. I think it's important that you do learn this as an extra. It's an extra muscle memory thing that just really plays an important part, especially when you're doing composition. Okay, we're getting there. Ow, I don't want you on my back. It hurties. All right, I've got this weird wonky side over here, so I think I'm just going to build this out a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but we're just going to do that right now. And then I'm just going to kind of, I know, sweetheart, I know. Build up some of these lines. Maybe build it up there as well. Create some of these. We're going in messy. We're going in messy, not precious, just letting the work happen, especially when you're distracted. Okay. A few more bits, almost done. Okay, am I done? I think I'm done. Maybe a few more little lighter lines in here. Definitely a few more here. And definitely a few more out here. Because if I put it up here, I need to do it here. Even if it was like super loose and like trying to fix a mistake, make sure that you balance it out by putting it in a few other odd places that people wouldn't expect you to put it. And then it looks like you're doing everything on purpose. Had to answer a call and come back to see if the kitty is still helping. Oh, yes. No. Shh. I take that back. She should not be helping. She was just drinking my paint water. That's not good. No bueno. No bueno. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're done. Or we're pretty darn close to being done. Let's do this. Because that leaf needs to come back in here to that stem. We'll do it here too. And then up here, we'll do it as well. Bring that cohesiveness. Do you like this paint compared to other brands you've ever used? Do you mean this paint here? This one? Are you talking about the Meeden palette, Fugly? Yes, I love it. So just to be clear, I mean, look at, okay, do you see this green? Do you see it? Now, I'm a botanical artist, right? So you know, as a botanical artist, we'd be using our greens. But even this one, that green I use a lot. That green over here I use a lot, obviously. I really like this palette a lot. I really do. And a friend of mine and I, yes. So the green, like look at the greenscapes, right? The greenscapes, the bluescapes, like there's whole sections for the green. I need a lot of green and I need a lot of blue and yellow. Like these are the three main ones that I use. Well, no, I don't even use blue that much. I'm gonna be really honest. I don't use blue that much at all because unless I'm using it to mix on the page, I'm usually using these two rows and this row. And obviously I use the white all the time as a mixer and the browns. I love that palette, Fugly. And honestly, it has to do like coming as an artist who's been painting for 5 years, who has way too many paints. The amount of accessible paints out there is huge. Like there's so many to pick from. And I went into Meeden for the paper. Like the Meeden paper is fabulous. And I knew it was. I have friends telling me I should use Meeden. They're basically the same paper as Bauhong. So if you've been using Bauhong for a while, they're basically the same. They have the same production standards. I think they're made in the same factory. They're just branded differently. And so I went in for the paper. I had no idea I would love the paints, especially in a kit like this. I've been using tube paints for a long time, and I'm very happy with tube paints. But I was talking to my friend Bindi Desai the other day, and Bindi is, she paints just as much as I do. And she got these paints and was like, Christine, I honestly can't believe how much I love this paint palette. And I'm like, right? I was genuinely surprised because you go into these kits sometimes and you think, oh, well, you know, it'll be just like any other paint palette kit that you could possibly want. But genuinely surprised. And the company, the people who work for this company, quite honestly, I've talked to them quite a few times, just asking questions and whatnot. Very transparent, very helpful, will give advice whether you ask for it or not. Like, they don't need to do that. What companies are giving, and kind advice, not like, you know, your art could be a little bit better. Like, never like that, but more like, you know, you could make a better reel if you used this transition instead of this one. Like, so helpful and kind. And I would promote them for that alone. But the products that they have, whether it's the brushes, like I just got this brush stand the other day. It's not in my shop or anything. But other day, it's not in my shop or anything. But I always have with, I'm back. I always have issues with my brushes trying to find them. And now with it being like this, now I can easily pull those heads out that I want and put them right back. So that's kind of nice too. But yeah, I think the paints are great. I know I kind of expanded on that, but I'm really a fan. They do a 96 palette, but I don't need the 96 palette. There's a lot of shimmers in there. I don't use shimmers very much. Shimmers are fun and all, but I just don't use them very much. So I painted this one today. Well, actually, I did the base. I actually have another base on this. Can you believe it? I have this base too, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to do the two paintings. So we got this red onion guy, which we can really flip around and do it in any which way we want. And then I also did this one today, which I love the garlic. I love that I got the 3D effect on this too. This doesn't look like the cross section on a garlic. I think it just looks like the top of a garlic, but that's okay. They all look a little roasted, and that's fine. And this one came out so vibrant and cool. And I was really worried. I didn't think it would be awesome. And it's awesome, right? It turned out really well. So anyhow, I will be back tomorrow, same time. Well, no, 11-ish. I know, it's so vibrant and beautiful. And you can still see like the yellow colors underneath and with the green leaves. And the little slices. And the funniest part is as much as I love this painting, I don't like red onions at all. Like, I don't like to eat them. I just like to paint them, I've decided. I do like garlic, though. Garlic I do like. But I'm not an onion girly. The only onions I'll eat with any sort of like happiness will be green onions. And that's usually like the little tippy tops chopped off for me. I did do green onions yesterday. They're cute too. These little guys. I've just decided this week is onion week, onion family week. Like maybe tomorrow I'll do scallions or something. And then next week, I definitely am going to do peppers next week. So my goal is to come on every day, Monday through Friday, this week and next week. I might change up the times just so that I can get a little bit of everybody. So I might do an early one, and I might do a mid-morning one, and then maybe a later afternoon one. But I do have to pick up my kids every day at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I definitely will not be on during that time. But for the most part, I'm going to try and be here before I have to go back to work, because I go back to work at the beginning of September. So, and then it'll be mostly evenings for sure. But thank you so much for coming. Oh, my aunt will just bite an onion like an apple. I don't know how she does that. My grandfather used to do that. My grandfather used to bite onions like an apple. And I don't know how he did that either. I think they're gross. Not a fan. And then again, these were the paints that we used today. And if you're not sure if I love them, quite obviously, you can see they are very loved. And this palette is obviously very used. I wouldn't use them so much if I didn't like them so much. And I have plenty of paints, I assure you. All right, so I'm going to scoot. Ooh, what is that? Oh, no. Look what I did. No. I have to stick around. I'm going to show you why. I've shown this already, but I just got black paint smudgies all over my paintings. All right. Good lesson learned. Never put your paint palette on top of your art. All right, you ready? We're going to do this again. This is my magic eraser brush or sponge. I'm going to dab over the top of this splatter. You can buy this at your local grocery store. Dab, dab, dab. I'm going to do it here too because it got a little bit everywhere. And then I'm going to go on the dry part and try and pick that up. You can't fix everything, but you can sure try. And do you see that black is starting to spread? That's the pencil. That's how pigmented it is. All right, I'm going over here one more time. Just be careful because once you get the ink on the one side, you don't want to use that side again. What you can do is you can just rip it and use the other side of the rip and go in again. All right, so that is mostly fixed like that. It's not perfect. What I could do is just to kind of make it look like I did it on purpose. I don't want to do this, but I could. Because I'm not going to really be able to fix that one very much. See how I smushed that out a little bit? I'm going to smush this one out a little bit too. Just so it looks like it's on purpose. Even though it's not, it gives the impact of, oh, look at the cool thing that she did. I wonder why she did that. No one has to know that it was a mistake. I still need to clean this up though. I got to move it to this side, I think. Oh my God. This is just the sign I should have stepped away a long time ago, guys. Should not be hanging out here this long. All right, let's get this wet. All right, not my goal, but jeepers, man. The life of an artist. You think you're there, and then there it is. Okay, I'm going to zoom this out. That still needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to step away from that. Otherwise, I'm going to get really frustrated. And I do have one little mark here that I need to go in with, which that shouldn't be as bad. So just dropping in that pigment, or not that pigment, that clean water. Just be careful that you don't over rub these spots because it can damage the paper. That's mostly gone. Thanks for digging it. I appreciate it. That's honestly, this would be the only thing that would deter me if I were an artist and you were watching me from getting the pencil, because the pencil is so hyper pigmented. You have to be super careful. And if you're moving fast and not paying attention, it's easy to make it smudge. Not that you can smudge it with your fingers, but the slightest bit of water will send it running all over your page. Okay, I think that's mostly fixed. So good enough, I think. Yeah, that's mostly gone on that side. And then this one is irritating me in the smudge. But you know what I could do? I don't want to do this, but I could do this. And a lot of people would certainly love this. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I could go over this in a whole other color. Like I could do the background and paint over these more like stained off spots that I now have. I just, again, have to be careful of that white edge there to make sure that I'm not causing it to bleed out into the other sections. But it's still fixable. I just don't have the time today to make it much more fixable. But thank you so much for coming, guys. I love hanging out with you. And I love being a bad influence and getting you guys to want to buy art supplies because it's just so fun. And it's so good for your mental health. And watercolor is such a fun hook because of all the fun things that you can do with watercolor right out of the gate. But it can be frustrating. So that's why you keep mixed media nearby and you can do all the things that you love and also do some doodles on top just to fulfill that like need for doodling. You know what I mean? All right, I'm going to check out. Off I go. If you're not following me already, you should be, because obviously I'm amazing. And also, this is just a good place to be, to hang out and socialize with all of us art watercolor people who love to kind of hang out together. We're a hoot and a half for sure. So, all right, I'm checking out. Bye, guys. I will see you tomorrow if you're here. Bye.